if we see it afterwards. Or YouTube bots gone feral again. Also very possible. Either way, the YouTube stream's back now. I'll see if it tells me anything afterwards. Because again, it's saying there's no restrictions on the stream. Sure. Okay, whatever. Well, yeah, okay, we're never watching a Tom Scott video again then. Do not recommend Tom Scott videos. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if it's like his company or what it is. We're just not gonna do Tom Scott stuff anymore. That's fine. That is annoying, but it's fine. Okay, well, let's find something else then that's not Tom Scott. Let us see. No, you don't lose the VOD. It just stops the stream. We could do the Red Joker one. That's certainly an option. There was also... Did I check it out here or just look at it on my phone? It might just been on my phone. Yeah, it was just my phone. What was the video called? No, we're not. Yeah, we're not clipping the... We're not clipping the Tom Scott one. That is going in the trash. Bro, it's almost 2 a.m. Why aren't you in bed? Because we have streams to do. What was the video? We could watch a video on Pawn Stars. Fellow non-sleeper. It's, Pawn Stars is the fakest show... What was it? The fakest show on TV. You might actually already have the video. Let's have a look. Oh, that's the Asian video. Oh, we can watch the Asian education one as well. TV bad by default, true. This. What do we have? What do we got? That time Pawn Stars got wrong. We could watch the video on the Asian education system. I think I saw the Pawn Stars one. I worked in a pawn shop and I have to explain to people how pawn shops actually work. Yeah, I bet. I think this is fun. What do we got here? That could be fun. No, I think we'll check out the Asian education system is insane. Study 20 hours, sleep 4. That sounds like my life during uni.
Do you know that in China, Taiwan, and South Korea, some schools are still open at night? Well, I just found out about this.
Like how night? That's very night.
A few days ago when I was doom scrolling on X, and I saw this post saying a very modern high school in Shenzhen, China.
Bright fluorescent light equals very modern. Can I just, not relevant to the video at all, can I just say I absolutely hate the obsession with putting these like really blue LEDs everywhere, like these really cool white LEDs on everything.
China noticed anything out of the ordinary, And I did notice something out of the ordinary. The school is still open at night and is still full of students. So post made me wonder, why is this school still open at night? And so I did some research, and
Especially
I
in
found
cars,
many
especially in
things
cars.
that are problematic about this education system, in my own personal opinion, not limited to China, but in the Asian continent in general. And as it turns out, there is this thing called night self-learning, although there are no classes.
Self-learning. I see. It's self-direct. I know, like, Korea, isn't there, like, spending on schooling? Didn't it, like, go up, like, 50% over the past few years?
Classes at night, the students stay at school to study by themselves. And in China specifically, some schools run night study session where students remain on the school campus to complete their homework or to study by themselves. And this is the case in that video. This nighttime activity in school and the likes is not limited to China. Many students in South Korea and Japan and Taiwan and other Asian countries feel that the regular classes are insufficient for them and they need more classes after school, so they seek the services of supplementary education.
Private tutoring market. North America's down here. Asia Pacific. I'm actually surprised that North America is as much as it is. I would have thought it'd be less, but... Oh, I guess this... Yeah, well, here. Honestly, I would have thought this would be less.
Education centers where students attend private tutoring classes, often staying until 9 to 11 p.m. And not only they spend more time and energy studying, they also spend, or their parents spend, more money for these after-school classes.
MEA region. Middle East and North Africa. They just forget the N.
And the reason for this is because the countries that I've mentioned, university exams strongly influence
Middle East
university admission and therefore the career path. And the nature of this exam essentially almost made it seems like that this exam is the single most important point in their life, and the outcome of this exam will influence their success in the future. It's an be-all end-all type of situation, and so when you have so much stake in getting admitted into the good universities, you extract all of the effort in your body to make sure that you succeeded, and that includes studying as hard and as long as possible. I'm not saying that studying after school at night is abnormal. Studying at night in your room by yourself is something that all students...
there's levels to this, right? If you're at school every night until 10 p.m., like if you're like effectively living at school, it's kind of like those jobs that you know, like this is a common thing with Google back in like the early 2010s. Where they would offer you like additional amenities, and effectively people would they would finish work, they'd go to work early, they'd have breakfast at work, then they would finish work, then they'd have dinner at work, and then there would be like, ooh, look, there's like pinball tables and arcades, and you just stay at work later and later and later.
Do, and there is nothing inherently bad about it, but it becomes a problem when studying at night at school or the likes of school becomes normalized and almost compulsory, like what happened.
Kind of sounds funny. If you're a group of friends, you can chill and study. I don't think there's going to be much chilling with the way that this is going.
In some of these Asian countries, essentially what these kids do is, I would argue, is worse than these wages working 50 hours a week. At least these wages are getting paid instead of paying to work more. And so why do the student would sacrifice everything to get into these universities? Well, getting to good universities is seen.
Do people actually study during study hangouts? Yes. It's like you'd be doing anything but. If you think your entire life is dependent on you getting in a certain university, you're going to be studying.
the only successful path. And so if you don't go into these good universities, you're essentially a failure, and you don't want that happen. So there is no other choice. It's the only path to success. That's what they think, at least. And there's another reason that leads to this hyper competitive toxic education system, and that reason being the fear of missing out. When your grades and your placement in your class became the indicator of whether or not you're gonna get admitted into the top universities, you see everyone but yourself as a competition. And so when you see your classmates study for longer and get higher grades, you can help but think that you're not doing enough. And in the context of academical competition, you're losing the battle by getting lower grades, and so the inflation of effort keep going higher. And
right. If everybody is working harder and the grade average is going higher, then you have to work harder to hit the grade average, but then other people are working harder, and then everyone sort of like cycles into this impossible to achieve situation.
Higher and higher until
without spending
it leads to
20
the
hours
point
a day.
of what we have today in these countries. And last but not least, there are students that don't care about education or knowledge. They want to go into these top universities just for the clout and the status symbol, just so that they can put it on their Instagram bio or whatever. And regardless of the major they are applying for, it doesn't matter. What matters is the name of the university.
What the is this a fucking prison cell? Is that just... Yeah, that's just a collection of black shirts. Minimalist doesn't mean that you have to live in a prison cell, by the way. Like... That's not what minimalist necessarily means.
That you go to, regardless of passion and care for the knowledge as well. They just want to go there for the cloud,
Moist critical
how it is. Man, I hate Instagram so much. Seeing your classmate from high school
inverted moist
to
critical
top 3 universities in your country, and meanwhile you fail to go into these universities will hurt your soul. If you're a big FOMO type of person, you might feel you're missing out. You might feel like you're a failure. Not because you will get quote unquote worse quality of education if you don't go into these top universities, but because you cannot flex that you get into
USA. A USA Ivy is not that different. You need to you need the name different. You need the name different. You need the name. Different is in China. If you get in, you will also get money. It can change your social class. Right.
Good university.
Well, the funny thing is, when I hear about a lot of people going to these Ivy League universities, obviously you get the people who are working really, really hard there, but you also get the people who are kind of like, they were paid in, and then they just like go to Yale and just sit there and like smoke weed all day.
And then go to good companies to work as a corporate slave. And you know how ingrained the exam is in South Korea when there are TV shows about studying for the national exam. How crazy is that? Again, I'm not making this shit up. You can look it for yourself. And actually, it's a fun fact. In China, the national exam goes way back to the...
Speaking of unis, not really sure if I should go or not. Frankly, I really don't want to, but feels maybe necessary for a tech job. I don't want to ruin your vision for the future more than it already has. Right? A lot of people are going through uni right now and feel like they've spent the last X number of years, like, developing these skills and all of this, and now there's AI, and they don't know what to do. Like, there's people starting degrees right now, and they're like, I don't know, is there gonna be a field? Is there going to be a tech field by the time I'm done? What is the job even going to be? In the US, I think the type of people who go to Ivy Leagues for undergraduate are quite different from the type who go only for high levels of education. Right, yeah.
Sui Dynasty.
Well, I think also if you're going on a scholarship is very different than if you were paid in, like, by your parents, right? If you go to an Ivy League university, like Yale, for example, on a scholarship, I imagine you approach that very seriously compared to, like, your parents just, who cares? You just bought your way in. It doesn't matter.
where people that wanted to work in certain areas of the government need to take entrance tests to get employed. As you can see here, there are ancient painting and
Is graduate school good? I can't.
task
I didn't go to graduate
cubicle
school.
and extreme measure of cheating prevention. And in fact, many people dedicated their entire life to this exam. And if they fail, it's not uncommon for people to take the exam multiple times and fail times and times again. And that's what happened to the Heavenly Kingdom dude. That the extreme stress due to hyper-competitive environment undoubtedly has destroyed many souls. From self-harm to self-deletion, it's not uncommon to hear cases like these once in a while if you're a student in these countries. And in fact, I had a friend from one of these countries that told me that he had a friend, and my friend had a friend that had a friend from another school that wanted to unalive himself and his family, as well as his
I don't know what the numbers are like, but I know the numbers are really, really high for people ending their life over education in countries like this.
friends, because he wasn't getting good enough grade that potentially could get him into the good university. And in fact, I've never heard about high school student wanting to commit seppuku because they got bad grades in any countries except in some Asian countries where the national examination is viewed as...
It actually happened. Something crazy is the numbers are actually on the rise of elementary school students who are taking their lives trying to get into middle school. Like, that's how bad it is. Like, the even like the concept of that doesn't even make any sense. But like this is a thing that does happen. I believe it was on the rise in Japan, if I recall.
the single most important point in their life. And so there is something needs to be done about it. This education system is a byproduct of the social...
Can you fail to get into middle school? In Japan, you can. You got to test into the better schools.
Economical situation going back to the ancient times in some cases, and to fix it you need to address the root cause, and that's not possible if you're not in the position of power. And even if you're in the position of power, I personally cannot think a way to fix this extremely competitive education system. Well, actually, when I think about it, the most realistic way of fixing this system is to make the university entrance test less competitive, and how is that achieved is another question to answer.
Yeah, how do we fix the problem? Fix the problem. Just do it.
But yeah, it goes back to the fact that in some of these countries, the status and the wages of the blue collar jobs are not as high as the white collar jobs, although they are changing now in the recent times probably due to the degree inflation. And yeah, I honestly don't have
That's the problem. The degree inflation is a problem that kind of exists everywhere. In Australia, we have one of our main issues for building more property is we don't have enough tradies. We don't have enough tradespeople, because we spend an entire generation basically telling people that if you don't go to university, you're a failure. And like didn't even talk about the idea of trade school. So unless you had a family member who was in the trades, a lot of people didn't even know that was an option. A lot of people didn't even know that going into a trade in most countries is actually going to be good money. Is tradie an Aussie word? Probably. Yeah. We like to give fun little nicknames to things. But like going and being an electrician, that's good money. And you're going to be making good money. So going into a trade, the ceiling is generally lower, but you get to that point far quicker, right? By the time someone graduates university, you're making good money already.
To give you, if you're studying in this education system, other than just accept it. And
by ceiling lower, I don't mean like really low. I mean like you're not going to make like unless you're owning a business like $300,000 a year, but you're going to be making a good life as a master electrician.
If you're not studying in this education system, be grateful, okay? Could have had it worse, you know? You know, one of my friends went into these schools and he told me that he was told word by word by his tutor that university exam will decide the course of the rest of his life. You know, imagine the stress that got into him. Imagine telling a 17 years old guy that the exam he was about to take will decide his life for the next 60 to 70 years of his life.
60,
Imagine
70.
that. Thank you guys for watching. Please like this video. I hope you find it informative. This video took me quite a while to make, so I would appreciate if you...
Is trade school where you learn practical skills that could be used for blue-collar jobs? Usually it provides you like a pipeline into actually getting the job. You'll usually use that as like a pipeline into apprenticeships. I can't speak for every country, but that's the way it works in Australia at least. Would you go into a trade job or tech? Frankly, at this point, if I was gonna just like reset my path, honestly, a part of me would want to go into a trade. Like, really. Because I do not know how companies are going to continue reacting to AI. And I know we can say, oh, AI is not going to be able to, like, fully solve all of these jobs. A lot of companies are certainly fucking trying. A lot of companies are cutting back on employment. Like, during COVID, you really had a lot of bargaining power as someone, even just like a junior, you had a lot of bargaining power for getting into a job. Companies were massively hiring. Now that's gone the complete opposite direction. A lot of places cut employees. They are not hiring now. And you've also got to compete with seniors who can do the junior's job as well as their own job, right? Honestly, like, a trade doesn't seem like that bad of an idea if you're willing to do the work.
You give this video a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on my new video. I'm trying to get monetized. I'm almost halfway there. I need 1,000 subs, so please, I need all the help. And yeah, that's about it. Peace.
It was a good video. What trade would you pick specifically? I actually wanted to be an electrician when I was younger. The only reason I didn't is because I came across software development in high school. That's pretty much the only reason I didn't. Right now, do tech because you actually love tech, not because it's been a historically well-paying job. It's kind of like where it's gone, isn't it, right? For a long time, it was like, go get a programming job if you want to make good money. Now it's become, it's kind of like, you know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like education. You go into education because you love education. You don't go into it because it's going to make you a lot of money. I think we'll do one more video from there, and then that'll be the end for today. Yes. What do we got? What do we have here? Oh, getting more like an incremental game? Yes. Aussie video? We've got two of them. We've got things I hate about Australia or Australian music festivals. Python uses a class for enums. I hate it. Music festivals? We could do music festivals. They're both by the same channel. So we have this one. These are the ones we have. We have things I hate about Australia and Australian music festivals. Do you know Last Miles is the thing about moving to... I don't know who Last Miles. Last Miles. I don't know who that is. Hate? We can do that one. So what do we got here? We got the ATO. That is the Australian Taxation Office. We got random fucking speed limits, expensive petrol, a Ford Falcon for some reason. All right, let's check it out. You rated him once, that's how... Oh! Okay, sorry. Yeah, that must have been a while ago then. Ah, yes, I know the channel.
Well, as per usual, YouTube took this video down again as well. The timestamp that they gave me here was a photo of a fish with a cigarette in its mouth. So I've gone through and lobotomized this video as well, with this photo on the screen, to remove anything that could remotely be considered violent or harmful content, of which, believe it or not, there was none in the video. I don't know what to do anymore, but enjoy the video.
Do you have any thoughts on the game Mixtape? If you're enjoying the game, I'm happy for you. I have zero interest in playing the game, though.
Australia. What a great place to live. It's definitely in the top 200 countries of all time.
It is definitely in the top 200, I'll give you that.
I've spent years singing the praises of this place, but it's not all fun and games, is it?
In deep shit, tourists stuck in excrement for hours after pit toilet collapse. Oh, that's... Nah, that's rough. Didn't we watch a video about Australian roadworks? Yes, we did.
And one thing that I've noticed is that whenever I focus on the negatives, the videos perform a lot better than when I focus on the positives.
Oh, I bet,
So in this video, we'll be going through some of the things that I personally dislike about Australia, and some of the things that you guys probably dislike as well.
Okay.
Anyway, that's enough waffle, let's get into it. Starting off, of course, with one of my least favourite things in the entire world, the tax office.
Yeah, fucking taxes.
Now look.
Actually, to be fair, the Australian taxes are actually very easy. We have this online system. If you just work a job and you don't really have anything to claim, it just automatically fills it out for you. You really don't have to do that much work. We don't have to deal with like bullshit American paperwork nonsense.
As much as we love to joke, and sometimes not joke, about how much we hate the tax office.
Why did the fucking Spotto here? What does Spotto do?
You have to admit, without taxes, we'd be pretty fucked. However, that doesn't mean that the tax office doesn't constantly take the fucking piss. One of the stupidest taxes that I can think of is, of course, the luxury car tax.
Ooh, that's a fun one. The luxury car tax. Yep.
This tax was brought in on the 1st of July, 2000, basically to protect our local car manufacturing industry, and of course, line the...
Yeah, and we don't have a local car manufacturing industry anymore.
Government's pockets by picking on people who want to buy luxury or expensive cars. In 1999, you could get a Ford AU Falcon Fairmont for $50,000. That's over $100,000 in today's money back in 1999. And back then, you could get a brand new BMW 318i E36 for very similar money. And since the government had seen a trend of people buying these imported luxury German-engineered vehicles instead of the bodgy...
Yeah, there's a, the Holden's factory is in like, the Holden's factory is just north of Elizabeth. Or I guess it was north of Elizabeth. There's no Holden's factory anymore because there's no fucking Holdens.
Fords made in Broadmeadows. They brought in the tax to incentivize people to buy our... Instead of the bodgy Fords made in Broadmeadows, they brought in the tax to incentivize people to buy our cars instead of the overseas imports.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough, I guess. Now,
when we had cars that were made here.
Fast forward to October of 2017, when the last ever Holden Commodore rolled off the production line, and with it, the end of Australian-made cars. Guess what's still here to stick around? You guessed it, the luxury car tax. However, the tax has gone from 25% of every dollar over the threshold to 33%, and the threshold of $55,134 in 2000 is worth roughly $110,000 in today's money, whereas the luxury car tax today applies to every dollar the car costs over $80,567. So
this was here to protect Holden. We don't have Holden anymore. Why the fuck do we still have this?
Technically, that means that the threshold's come down by $30,000.
Ford German engine. No, he was talking about the BMW, not the Ford.
And obviously, as you all know, cars are only getting more and more expensive. Cars like the 78
Does this affect used cars as well? Well, if you're importing a used $80,000 car, yes, but you're probably not.
and 76 series Land Cruiser are being included with the luxury car tax, even though this is the interior. And obviously cars like dual cab utes and the 79 series Land Cruiser are all exempt from this because they're technically commercial vehicles, even though they seem to be pushing well over the luxury car tax threshold these days. If you buy a car for, let's say, $500,000, you're
What was that? Was that Nissan GTR?
these days. If you buy a car for, let's say,
What the fuck? What? Wait. What the fuck?
$100,000, you're paying
$500,000 for a GTR. Righto.
3% tax on every dollar over that $80,000 mark, meaning that $500,000 car now costs you almost $100,000 just in luxury car tax. But that's just the left hook, because the right hook's still yet to come, since that price doesn't
Do you guys drive manual there more or automatic? I want to say automatic's more common. Which is more popular in Australia? Manual or automatic? I can only drive an auto. Yeah, auto seems to be more popular.
include stamp duty. So my message to the government is if you're gonna f us like this,
Oh
at least
yeah,
take
stamp
it
duty as
doesn't
well. Yeah.
include stamp duty. So my message to the government is if you're gonna f
Stamp duty is basically the paperwork tax.
us like this, at least take us out to dinner first. So when people ask me, why do you drive an AU Falcon Forte instead of a Lamborghini Aventador SVJ? This is why. Another tax that I don't understand is of course the fuel excise. Now, as of recording
Isn't it? It's just the tax on the fuel for existing.
this, they temporarily cut it from 52 cents per litre to 20 cents per litre, but I'm sure they won't waste time putting it back up when the time comes.
Yep.
But even
Yep.
then, we're
Yep.
paying 50 cents a litre in fuel excise just to pay another 10% GST when it comes time to check out. Now I understand that without taxes this country would not be running as well as it does, but frack me, one or the other. Another great one is of course
That one they're not going to get rid of. They're probably going to raise it because obviously electric cars don't pay a fuel excise because they're not buying petrol. So they want to be able to sort of keep that money. Thanks for reminding me not to backseat or have backseated things about Australia. Feel free to backseat about Australia if you want to. That's there for the video games. Obviously not for the React segment. But yeah, I feel like the fuel excise will probably go up as electric cars become more common because they don't want to lose out on the tax revenue for that.
the excise on cigarettes and alcohol. I can't really be bothered getting into
God, yeah, buying alcohol in Australia is so fucking expensive.
the alcohol excise, but as you know, if you've been overseas, in Australia it's expensive, and the cigarette tax has gotten so high that the government themselves has created their own black market of illegal imports that's wreaking havoc.
Yeah, Australian cigarette taxes are so high that we have a massive black market of import cigarettes. We have a massive black market of import cigarettes, which I think at this point may be more popular than the legal market.
All over the country. So it's safe to say that the tax system here is not very respected. Anyway, moving on. Quick side note that I got to add on before we get into our next one is of course house prices.
Yeah. Yeah, like a cheap house in a cheap house in the suburbs of Australia at this point is $500,000. That's a cheap house. Now, is that number cheap? No, but that's a cheap house. Now, if you're in the city, yeah. I don't even want to acknowledge how expensive city houses are.
Now, I'm not an expert on this topic, so I don't have a reason, and I'm not a politician, so I don't have a solution. But as a YouTuber, I am qualified to complain about it. The median house price in Melbourne, where I live, is $1 million these days.
Oh, keep in mind, that's also without including the taxes on top of the house price.
And for $1 million, you pretty much get a shanty. But the worst offender, of course, has to be those inner city Sydney houses where it's like $10 million for an absolute rundown shoebox. But then you get those scumbag property investors who are all over social media and the news these days, flexing about how many houses they own, with their whole...
Can I just say, this is something that pissed me off a few years back. I was going for a walk. I don't remember. Yeah, it was a few years back anyway. And I saw a sign up for a house being like, it was like a sale sign, right? It was sitting in the yard. And it said, this is a great first investment property. Like, what the fuck do you mean this is a great first investment property? There's a lot of reasons why the housing market is fucked in Australia. Negative gearing, where you can basically offset your losses against the house. Basically, housing investments in Australia are the meta. They are the meta investment, and it creates this fucking nightmare. Is the market not fucked anywhere? There are less fucked. There are less fucked places, but yeah, no.
And goal is to just sit back and do nothing and get money. That's my job, but at least you guys get some entertainment out of what I do. The next up, of course, we're going to talk about how far away everything is from Australia and within Australia. Look how big Australia is compared to the USA.
Yeah, people don't really know how big Australia is because of, Mercator projection? Sorry, are there any map nerds here? Mercator projection, that sounds right. Mercator projection, yeah. It's the way we draw, the way we basically represent countries on a map is not the actual scale of those countries. There are different ways of creating a map that have more accurate scales. But Mercator projection basically fucks with how big everything is, and people assume that Australia is way smaller than it actually is. Like, Greenland is so huge, but not really IRL. I believe the further away you are from the equator, the smaller the country looks in Mercator projection. So you bring it towards the equator, and it becomes massive.
Very similar in size, except they have 50 states and we have 8 states and territories.
Yeah.
Which means you basically have 50 different cities to choose from to live in or near. Whereas in Australia, we've got 8 major cities, one of which is in Tasmania, so that's an instant write-off. And they're all so far away from each other that the capital city of Tasmania, so that's an instant write-off. And they're all
41 out, really? It's only 41 hours. No way. There's like stretches of this where you're gonna die. Do you have a good rail system? Within states, it's okay. Like, usually you can get to like the outer suburbs. But anything else, like all of this inner area is no, you're driving there. We also do have a rail system that goes around the country, but it's more of like a tourist rail rather than like actually productive. So it's like this will take 10 times as long because it's kind of like the same thing as a cruise, right? It's not supposed to be fast. It's supposed to be scenic.
So far away from each other that the capital city of New Zealand is closer to Canberra than Perth is. And the closest major capital cities are Canberra and Melbourne, and there's nothing to do in either of them. Then, of course, is the price of getting around.
Hey, shut up. There's shit to do in Melbourne. I'm in fucking Adelaide.
Thanks to Qantas and petrol prices. But I've already been through that in my airplanes video, so go watch that if you want the rundown. But basically, for the same price and time, you can either fly from Melbourne to Brisbane, or if you live somewhere like Manchester, you can fly to Benidorm for like £100, do a madness, and then come back home. Whereas the closest thing Australia has to that is Bali, which even from the closest capital city, Darwin, is like $400 and 3 hours of flying. Now I know that's not...
Australians fucking adore Bali. If you go to Bali, you will find more Australians than you will find locals.
No one's fault, but that doesn't mean I can't still complain about it. And our New Zealand brothers across the ditch have the same problem. But fuck.
Wait, since I'm Belgian and since you're Australian, I am not 6 foot, nor am I of muscle, but I do speak your language. Fortunately, I don't have a Vegemite sandwich. Bring back Pangea, I agree.
Imagine if Australia was just a little bit closer to everything, we'd save a whole lot of time and money. Bring back the Concorde, I reckon. But even this little dilemma won't stop you from running into Australians at every corner of the globe. I mean, just check out this Facebook page where people spot South Sydney Rabbitohs fans everywhere but South Sydney. But it gets worse. Australia's passport is the most expensive in the world.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Coming in at $422 fucking dollars. Why? And it gets even worse. I saw this the other day.
Going overseas is about to get more expensive. It's called the passenger movement charge and is essentially an exit fee to leave the country. $70 every time you buy a plane ticket or a cruise ticket. The government wants to raise it from $70 to $80, so only an extra $10, but really it adds up.
The government's added $10 onto the passenger movement charge, which I didn't even know was a thing until now, and is basically a fee every time you leave the country.
What? Huh? No, I didn't know about that one. That's a new one to me.
As if it wasn't already fucking expensive enough. But who am I to judge? The politicians are gonna...
Yeah, okay, let's do one. Australia, let's go Adelaide to Tokyo. Cheapest flight is $750. But the rest of them, I don't know why that's so cheap, because the rest of them are $1,600. How much is that in real currency? You fucking convert it yourself. Via Singapore? I'm not sure. No, I think it's a direct flight.
Pay for all their alcohol somehow, which they're only making more and more
Price of beer to increase by 3.7%. Of course.
expensive every 6 months. Anyway, that's enough political shit. Let's move on. You know who else I hate? Those who put ads all over Facebook targeting tradies saying, hey, do you want to escape the 9 till 5? Buy my course and I'll tell you how as well. And they're like 19 and never worked a day in their life, claiming that the methods that they used helped them escape the 9 till 5, even though most tradesmen work from 7 till 3, which they would have known if they weren't lying about the fact that they used to work in the trades before they escaped using their methods. It's almost as if they specifically target tradesmen because they think they're dumb, even though they're the ones that fell for the pyramid scheme that they're promoting, and the tradies are earning more than them while actually contributing something to society. Those idiots just need to shut up. Now, another thing that really cheeses me off about Australia is that they only produced the AU Falcon for 4 years.
It is a nice car. I wasn't really a Falcon fan growing up, but the Falcon has grown on me.
While the first generation Volkswagen Beetle was produced for 65 years, and that was designed by... So obviously controversy doesn't play a factor into how long a vehicle's produced for, but I'm pretty sure the reason that they shut up shop on the AU Falcon so early is because Wakanda ran out of vibranium, which of course is used to build the engine internals on the AU Falcon, and after they'd sold 10 million of them, they thought,
now that
used to build the engine internals on the AU Falcon, and after
that's a fucking vehicle. That is a fucking vehicle. I'd prefer it in blue rather than red. Man, look at that thing. That's fucking gorgeous. That's a ute. That is a ute. That is exactly what it is. White would look good as well. White would also look good. Blue Falcon ute. Yeah. Blue AU Falcon ute. Yeah. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, the image is very low res, but look at that thing. Where do you get cars from then? We have a lot of Japanese cars, of course. We have a lot of German cars. Obviously, we have a lot of Fords here, because we also used to make Fords here as well. But lately, we've also been getting a lot of Chinese cars. we have a lot of BYDs and various other Chinese brands. Especially in the electric market. The electric market in Australia is primarily Chinese cars at this point. Like, Tesla is still a massive seller, but BYD outsold Tesla last couple of quarters.
They'd sold 10 million of them. They thought, we don't need to produce anymore. These things will last forever. And that was history.
No, not
but I wish I
bring your
could
own
walk into a
device.
Ford dealership today and buy a brand spanker. But as I mentioned earlier, we don't build cars anymore.
We don't
now, as
fucking
you may or
build
may not have
cars.
noticed, I'm slightly running out of dot points here because I believe Australia is the greatest country in the world. And there's not too many things I hate about it. But this next one, I do. And that, of course, is speed limits.
Fucking speed limits.
1902. I remember it like it was yesterday. But in 1903, Australia implemented its first speed limits. But even then, apparently, you could just speed anyway as long as you did so safely. It's not like they had highway patrol with radar guns to measure your speed. But as a wise man once said,
Speed has never killed anyone. Suddenly becoming stationary, that's what gets you.
and one thing that's been around since the 1900s, of course, is shit drivers. Now, obviously, the road toll keeps rising in Australia, but so does the population, so it kind of makes sense. However, back in the 1970s or 80s, we didn't have smartphones, traction control, lane keep assist, automatic braking, radar-guided cruise control, you name it. You actually had to be good at driving to be able to drive. Now, any idiot can just go into a car dealership, get a brand new BYD Rock Spider 15, bang it down the freeway with all the assists, and not actually have to learn how to drive properly. Now, the amount of times I've been in like an Uber or a taxi and the driver's got his phone on the dashboard watching movies, or I'm driving down the freeway, I
I've
look
not
to the
had
left and
that
someone's doing the
before.
exact same thing. I think Australia has a bad driving problem. I mean, when you look at similar sized countries like the USA, Canada, Russia, and China, our speed limits seem to be a lot lower, which isn't exactly helpful when everything's so far away, as I mentioned before. But in inner city towns, they seem to keep lowering speed limits non-stop. Roads going from 80 to 60 for no reason, 60 to 50 for no reason, and in super built-up areas, 40 to 30. At this point, I'm just going to park up the car and start
thankfully I
walking
had to deal with
quicker. Now, I
that.
say it's for safety and everything, but even
happy
the
being in the
60 km/h
suburbs.
zones in Melbourne, you're going like 20 most of the time because of all the traffic. And
Yeah,
whenever they
you're in
drop these
Melbourne.
limits, it seems to be a spawn point for these mobile speed cameras. But I reckon that's a can of worms that will open another time. But the worst affected road, of course, has to be the Stewart Highway in the middle of Bumf. Certain sections of this highway that connect Port Augusta to Darwin used to have no speed limit because there was literally nothing to hit, and it's in the middle of nowhere. And in 1994, they had a cannonball event where they raced from the bottom to the top of the Stewart Highway in open traffic conditions, which of course 75% of the route had absolutely no speed limit. And obviously,
Yeah, and had absolutely no fucking people because you're on Stewart Highway driving through the middle of the fucking country.
it's not safe. And unfortunately, 4 people died when a Ferrari F40 crashed, killing both occupants of the vehicle and 2 race officials, but it was legal. And in 2014, the Wheels magazine took the final Australian-built Ford Falcon GT in an attempt to hit 300 k's an hour, similar to what they did in 1971 with the XY GT on the Hume Highway. Imagine doing that now. But they fell a little bit short, only hitting 297 k's an hour, almost as quick as the AU Falcon. And then in 2016, they finally limited the speed limit on the Stewart Highway to a measly 130 kilometers an hour. And
This is something I actually do like about, like, you know, it's an open highway. Just let us go 200. If I want to go 200, let me go 200. Like, just let me do 200. Why not? There's nothing out there anyway.
anyway, moving on to our final thing, gambling ads. Now, gambling
Australia loves gambling.
ads on social media is a big can of worms that I'm not going to get into. These companies pay a lot of money, and for most people, making YouTube videos is very expensive, so that money does go a long way. But no Instagram reel is being improved with the rain bet integration. But the worst offender, of course, has to be the sports betting ads.
Sportsbet, proud supporters of having a crack.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call them.
Whenever there's footy on, or any major sporting event, you just get absolutely
bets.
bombarded with them. Now, 2 of my least favourites are, of course, the sports bet proud supporters of having a crack, but by far the worst.
Fuck. Something I do love about Australian ads is we do have a bunch of like, we're totally okay having stupid sexual innuendos in our ads.
Two of my least favourites are of course the sports bet proud supporters of having a crack, but by far the worst one is this Ladbrokes one where they couldn't even be bothered using their massive profits to employ real actors, a real production team, instead just AI generating.
Having a crack is a sex joke? Maybe that is an Australian term. Crack is butt crack, your butthole. So the joke is proud supporters of having a crack, proud supporters having an asshole. But also having a crack is like having a go at something.
It all. Like, how scummy can you be? Especially when these platforms just ban anyone who wins too much. At least the government's been cracking down recently. Anyway, I think we'll leave it there. If you enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy one of these too. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. And I'll see all of you guys in the next one.
That was fun. I always like doing the Australian ones. They're always fun. I was looking at the stream. Oh wait, here we go. Shenmue 3 video is blocked. Yeah, so the Tom Scott video got claimed. Yeah, okay. So yeah, we cannot do Tom Scott stuff. See details. Wait, let me see. Pad 26 Limited. Is this a company that is trolling, or is this... No, this actually seems to be... What is this? Yeah, okay, it's a company that Tom Scott seems to be involved in. Yeah, okay, so that's definitely a an actual thing then. Oh, it's Tom Scott's actual company. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, no, we're definitely never doing Tom Scott stuff then. Okay, well, that's good to know. Yeah, I can just trim it out. That's all good. Yeah, they give you tools to just trim out the affected content. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for today. So, next week we have more MGS2. We also have if you're not seen it yet, go check out the Minecraft video from yesterday. I have a video that I think is going to be kind of fun coming out soon. It's a video on the origin of the term racing, which I think was a very, it was a fun one to record at the very least. So, whether or not it'll be a fun one to watch, I hope it is. Music Festival one next week, possibly, unless Yorak uploads another fun one. Until then, I think we're gonna head out. So, be good, be safe, and, yeah. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend. I am gonna go. So, oh yeah, link the Aussie vid. Sorry, I'll do that. There you go. See you guys later. Bye-bye. Why is the button not working? Oh, press the wrong button. That's why. Bye.